ticket, because then you get the, the lovey-dovey of the 8 years we have with President Obama. And, you get the black female, you get the whole drill.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the perfect marriage. And, who knows if Joe is awake enough to even finish out the term.
Yeah. I don't think Joe will make it 6 months. I really don't.
No.
I don't think he'll make it 6 months. He'll get that. His wife will get the pension, whatever. He's in it, and then he's out within the first 6 months, probably voluntarily.
Right. Well, in all fairness to that guy, I mean, policy aside, the guy's been a career-long politician. He's done some great things in his career. He's done the normal gaffes and the normal crap that we can look back at and say, why did you have that position then and this position now, all that stuff. He's been a great public servant for whatever public servants are worth these days.
A dime.
But a dime, maybe 15 cents max. But, to go out like this is really tough. It's like, the aging boxer.
Yeah, I'm kind of ashamed of his family for doing this to him.
Yeah, it's like, if his son was around, would he be talking him out of it? The one that passed.
Right.
Because the other one's corrupt, right? I mean, that's clear.
Corrupt and obviously the dumber of the two,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, well, that kind of makes me think more likely now that Michelle's the one. Now, for me, when I look at it as a common sense person, I'm thinking, you know what? The country's had enough of Obamas. I can tell you that. They're not going to trust.
Oh, no doubt.
And if anything of these polling is to be believed, and I don't believe most of them, but they're consistently coming in with the African-American population over 30% supporting Donald Trump now.
Yeah.
They always said anything more than 8%, the Democrats were in trouble. Well, you're at 30%. And I've seen similar ones when you talk about Hispanic is even higher for Donald Trump, which
exactly
it blows everybody's mind, right? They tried to paint him as the racist who hates Hispanic people, and yet he's done so much. Even closing down the border and making a big stink about illegals, he's getting the Hispanic vote, because you know what? They're employed. They've got the highest employment ever.
That's why this is tough right now, because this is the ground that the Democrats can carve, is that, hey, look at all the African Americans propensorate to the population that are dying, and they can do all the CNN headline crap and start to build up that stuff, and then you're not working right now, and you may not be working in November, and that's the time to claw that back. Even though, like you said, he's built up that base quite nicely, and surprisingly. But, will they be able to claw that back with the Hispanics and the African Americans and the rest of those folks? That's going to be the trick.
So the idea for the Democrats would be a female Hispanic, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I can't either. I don't know if she's out there or willing to get into the fray. I think
well,
he's going to be.
I guess I overlooked the obvious, but I'm thinking there's just no way. She's just too dumb. AOC. Hispanic.
There's no way.
There's no way, though,
there's
right?
Just no
please,
way.
Lord, please let there be no way.
Yeah, she, if this was like 3 or 4 years from now, and she was able to, she was able to get some more ground and her build up her, her wins and the people that she supports and all that. Maybe. But not now. It's too early. The only candidate is Michelle Obama.
Yeah. Well, you really depressed me now, Pat, because now I'm thinking they're gonna go for it. But I don't see America voting for an Obama. Her being
I don't either. I don't either. But the romance of those 8 years for many people. I mean, that was like the epiphany of, they were in power. Everyone was in power that was in that electorate.
Yes, we
And,
can't.
yes, exactly. Right. So, I don't know. I mean, it's scary to think, the polls that were out the other day, and, polls, obviously we like them because they were completely wrong in the Hillary thing. But they're back to the piling on that he's not going to get the female vote. He's not going to get all these other things that are out there that are going to Michigan and all these
Yeah, I'll tell you
states.
this. I really don't have a problem. I'll put $20, $50, $100 down on a bet that Trump will win in November. At this point, I don't know what they can pull out of the hat, because it's classic Trump in these 2-hour meetings every night.
It's great. I mean, he's loving that, and I agree with you 1,000,000%. But we can't get complacent because they're gaining ground, right? I mean, they're the mail-in vote and all the rest of that stuff. That's not good.
Yeah, that's the thing that scares me, is the fraudulent voting, the illegal votes, the dead people voting.
Right.
Yeah, they've really got to get voter ID. They got to clean up the voter rolls, get the voter ID in place, and certainly don't do this mail-in ballots, because it's that ballot harvesting, right? That's why we lost all of Southern California last time around.
Absolutely.
That's what scares me the most, and I don't know that we're in a position to do anything about it. If America, if you can step up to the plate, give us a good solid majority in the House and Senate in November, we could put a voter ID in place across the board, right?
There could be some really nice things going on. This is a really good time to go after the healthcare in a little bit of a different way. But back to the infrastructure, has to get done.
Yes.
Has to get done.
It does. I wouldn't have minded spending $2 trillion for an infrastructure plan, but we're going to walk away with this last $6 trillion deal with nothing to show for it.
No, nothing to show for. It's like lighting money on fire. Right? I mean, because you can't open, if you're in Michigan, you can't open your restaurant anyway.
Right.
So what do you do?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm actually getting anything. I went on the website and it said, you might be getting something. Oh, that's great. Thanks. Anyways, I'm just assuming I'm not getting anything, right?
It'll be interesting as it goes on for sure. But, it has to stop at some point in time. I mean, they've been printing money for years.
Yeah. Well, so and I don't quite understand, when I think of the Federal Reserve, I immediately go full on conspiracy mode. And I know a lot of people say, oh, Gary's got his tinfoil hat, or he's going to talk about the Federal Reserve. But I'll never forget this. Years ago, I worked as a family investment director in Inkster, Michigan, right? So I was kind of on the government payroll.
I remember that, yeah.
And I always went into work real early in the morning. First guy in, open the place up, and I'd sit there for an hour alone, fiddle farting around or whatnot. And the fax machine went off one morning, that early in the morning. Like, who's faxing at this time of the morning, This fax rolls off, and it's the strangest thing. It asks a question about the Federal Reserve, and there was this guy, an African-American guy, had his little picture on it, and it came through on the fax machine of all things. And it went into a long, detailed discussion about who the Fed is, what they do, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know that any of it was true, but I thought to myself, ooh, somebody's trying to spread the word. If they're faxing random phone numbers, So I was talking.
Wow.
I walked away knowing two things: that the Federal Reserve, is not owned by the government; they are a private institution, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing I came across with was the description that, and if my memory might be a little foggy, but I thought he said, in essence, the Federal Reserve is a privately held bank that when the U.S. government wants a dollar, the Federal Reserve will print a note that costs them about 3 cents. And then they charge the United States government $1 for that 3-cent piece of paper. And then they begin charging interest to the United States government on that dollar. So they're not printing the dollar and giving it to the United States and there's your dollar. They're charging you $1 for the dollar, and then they're paying interest on it. And I went, what kind of a...
Yeah, they're bookies.
What kind of a scam is that? You're charging me for the dollar that cost you 3 cents, but I don't get the dollar. I owe you $1, and it's now $1. Right? I'm thinking, that doesn't make any sense at all. Well, maybe his description or my memory is foggy, but I'm thinking to myself, who are these Federal Reserve guys? These guys are making a lot of money for doing nothing.
Yeah, they are making a lot of money, and the figures may be a little different now with the interest rates and all the rest of that. But yeah, I mean they're essentially the financial god.
Yeah.
Whether it's the banks or whatever, the banks have been borrowing cash. You just turn on back and listen to his.
Oh my God, he scares me now, dude.
But he's totally. Off the deep end now on, the fear mongering. But
I love it how he always says, I don't want to scare you now, but you better divest into gold. And I'm thinking,
yeah. Well, he's getting paid and, he's got his way. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's been talking about for the last 15 months about how the banks have been, in the dead of the night, getting whole.
Yeah, getting money because they're not meeting
because they're not meeting their objectives.
Yeah.
And the stuff that was put in Dodd-Frank and all the rest of that stuff, they're limping through that. And that was before, we just cut a check for $484 billion today.
Right. So let me ask you this, and this is how I lead into the conspiracy of all conspiracies. So, but spending money like dogs, right? They're printing money, they're giving it to the banks, blah, blah, blah. And the Federal Reserve that we owe all this money to, correct?
Yeah.
So what happens if the United States government says, we're just going to arrest the heads of these families that own the Federal Reserve and charge them for, I don't know, God knows what.
Treason.
Maybe they're part of the global pedophilic ring, which I wouldn't doubt. Don't get me started on that one because I'm all up into that conspiracy. But what if the United States government said, you know what, Federal Reserve, we created you. We're done with you. Thank you very much. We owe ourselves that money now.
Well, they can probably get through that, let's say phone call or discussion, but then the Chinese are coming.
Yeah, you got the Chinese who at this point, right? And then I think we've already got the Chinese now by the short hairs because.
Well, I hope we can do something.
How many trillions of dollars did they cost the United States and other people around the world? Let alone the lives, right? How many trillions of dollars did we all lose in our economies around the globe? And say to China, you know what? You lent us all that money, but we're not going to pay you back because you owe us for this. And we'll go to the world court and win in the world court.
I can't wait for all that to happen. I mean, that's going to be like, can you imagine Adam Schiff's glory? If he could get his arms around a cause like that and go fucking ballistic like he normally does with the Trump stuff that he did. I mean, it would be like a dream.
Exactly. And why is that? Because Democrats should be, you know what? Fine. Take your anger out on the Chinese. Let's change the laws. Let's every state in the union, like Missouri, sue China. We'll get all of Western Europe to sue, South America, Australia, India. We all sue China. And then what do you do? Well, maybe China knew that, and that's why they'll say, well, you can have our ghost cities.
Yeah.
We got all these nice big ghost cities. You can have those instead.
Well, what I'm studying more and more is, what the Swiss are doing.
What are the Swiss doing?
And they're saying, look, I'm not going to cheat death. Okay, I'm handling this thing pragmatically. They take care of their own economy, and then they go from there. They're not exporters.
Right.
They take care of. So will there be some mixture between a free market economy and the nationalism that, I think Trump was rightly for,